Hello everybody, I am Angry Bird. Once again we're back with Steel Division 2 League game Group 3. This will be the final game of Group 3. We're closing off the coverage of Steel Division 2 League for Group 3 today. Up in this matchup, or today in this matchup, we have the two top players of Group 3, Spanish. I can never pronounce the name right. Spanischer Ritter. We'll go for that. I will probably end up throughout the game calling him Spanish Ritter. I apologise. I'm very sorry. And I'm just really bad at pronouncing names. Hopefully you'll be okay with that. Up against him today we have Goaf, and Spanish is playing the 3rd US Armoured on Maverick, and Goaf is playing the 352nd on 352nd Infantry on Balanced. So Spanish, let's have a look at his 3rd US Armoured deck. He has not a hell of I can't even speak today. He doesn't have a lot of M8s. In fact, no M8s in A phase. So the controversial, is it controversial? The most often used M8 spam is not within Spanish's decks, and he often likes to do different things with his divisions than the mainstream. So yeah, no M8 start. Let's have a look. 3 cards of infantry in A phase and 2 in B phase, but only 50 units in total. I mean, we see some decks where they've got more than 50 units in C phase alone. So yeah, I think the key for Goaf is going to be knocking out that infantry. Only 51 units. If you can get rid of them, then the Shermans on their own are going to have a hard time holding the ground. And in terms of tanks, he only has 28 tanks. 2 command M4A1s in A phase. He does have the M4A176s in A phase as well, and he's chosen to have command tanks to obviously upvet his infantry. That way he can sacrifice leaders. He does have 2 artillery leaders in the artillery tab, and he's got 6, but they're only 60mm mortar units. But we'll take a look at one of those units when they're down, because if I remember right, those 60mm mortar units, the fire rate on them is astonishing. In terms of the air, he's got the B-26B bombers. Nothing like major to take out tanks. He's got the M10 tank destroyers, only 2 of them in A phase, and he's obviously got his anti-tank guns. But I guess he's up against the 352nd Infantry, and they don't get a lot of good tanks. In fact, Goaf's opted to only take 5 Stug 3Gs in A phase, and then really the only other armoured unit is the 2 Jagdpanthers in B phase and the 4 Jagdpanthers in C phase. So what's going to be left to take out those Shermans? Well, we've got the Pack 36 37s, the Pack 38s and the Pack 40s. He's even got a card of Pack 43 88 mils. He doesn't need those Pack 43s in this deck, not against the 3rd US Armoured, so I feel like he could have sacrificed that, got more Pack 36 guns that are just gonna, or even Pack 38s that are gonna have a much better time of taking out the Shermans. He's also got the HS129s in B and C phase. Again, kind of overkill, but I guess actually if he can take out the infantry and kind of control the air, then they can certainly just roam around destroying Shermans. So I think that's a decent call. He's going to be utterly reliant on those flak-villings though, 2 in A and 4 in B, to hold the skies clear, because no fighters in this 352nd deck. This is going to be an interesting matchup on this map, Harishajay. We've got the big town in the center, and then kind of 2 forests either side. Let's have a look at the setup. And Spanish going very heavy into that centre town and fairly well. I think actually he's got the flamethrowers here, so I think he is going to make an attack onto this flag. And this is the best if you're coming from the western side of this map as we see it. This flag is much easier to take than going across here in the north. So it looks like he's going to push forwards with the heavy flamethrowers, try and take that flag, and then he's going to set up a defense with the M1 gun. He's also got a command M8 there, which is interesting. They are not command... I don't believe they're commanders. They are just leader units. Despite the fact it says commander, they are actually just leaders. They aren't commanders, is my understanding of this. And then in the northern side, actually fairly loose defense with some armored rifles and heavy flamethrowers. So I feel like if Goaf does make a push in that north, he could go through, but actually he's on balanced income, so I don't want to see a push. I don't want to see a push from Goaf. I want to see a defense. In especially, yeah, it looks like he's putting a lot in the centre ground. He's investing a lot in these SPW 204s, the armoured recon. No HE on them, so I think he's anticipating an M8 spam, which is why he's using these SPWs, because these really can counter the M8s. The command variant does at least have the HE shells on them, so they can stand up against the infantry. They can you know, hurt the infantry. But yeah, I think he's gonna be kind of well, we've got a couple of M8s coming in there. We got one coming into the centre, but they're gonna struggle against the M4s that Spanish is gonna put out. I feel like Goaf needs to set up a defence. Definitely a very defendable position in this northern side, and Spanish isn't really attacking too heavy there, so that should be a decent area for Goaf to defend. This southern side, I think it takes time, but you can take this flag back. You've just got to invest in the right infantry to do it. So he does have some Flammenwerfers going in there, and potentially some Stoss troop as well. Although the orders are not great here. I don't think he will notice how bad those orders are. Yeah, so here's the attack of the heavy flamethrowers. This is the kind of attack you want to make in the south, and it's very easy to push across here because anything that comes down here, it's not fast enough to get into this position before these units are generally across. It's a race. The best thing to do will be to put an M42 gun down here, but that leaves it open to attack, you know, from an IG that sneaks in here. But yeah, I feel like Goaf is going to lose this southern side because his units are going to get taken out by this command M8 before they get into position. Now, Pack 36-37 does go down. We'll start engaging with the AP, and as we see, the flamethrowers will make it across. Potentially, I think one of the Flammenwerfers has gone down to the M8. We've got an M5 gun coming in now, and this is not necessarily great orders as well. And down goes the M8. The ME109 G2R1 was going to come in for a strike there, so it does lose its target. The SPW is engaging an M5 gun in the rear, and the 204s can't do anything against that. The command can, but the M5 is going to have a nice time, I feel like, there. In comes the infantry. Goaf's already set up, so the infantry coming in much slower in the half tracks. And actually, Goaf did attack in the northern side and has got himself a nice little position there. But on balanced income against Maverick, ooh, I've got to wonder whether that's the right call. I'd like to see him just hold that position now and then just set up a defense. I don't want to invest more resources in there because he's on balanced income and he's going to suffer in the long run. Well, he's going to suffer from now. With the points advantage. The Flammenwerfers and Stoss troopers do come in, but I think they are outnumbered and are going to go down to the heavy flamethrowers. So like I said, if you're on the western side, as we look at the screen, on the red side, then this flag is easy to take early on. I like to see the best defense. I think is to just let them take the flag and then push through like pioneers, heavy flamethrowers, unload them here and then just push them through on foot, and then you will eventually retake the flag. It's just a matter of time and just being patient on that southern flag. The Commander M8 is engaging. The Stoss troop are all there, but will stand up decently well. Nice surrender with Goaf, but pushes forwards and does get taken out. So, but he did get the surrender there. The M4A1s are really going to do that fire support, and too much for the SPWs to handle. They're going to get out of the way. The SPWs, they're going to be decent against the Command M8. They just need to get into a position. The Commandant's in trouble now. So an early Commandant upvetting the infantry, but he's on the front line. It is on the front line, and I'm surprised Spanish isn't like manually targeting that Commandant. I think it's potentially been seen by the armoured rifles, but I'd like to see something try and hit that Commandant and take that out, because that will be a major pickup. And no real anti-tank on the infantry from Goaf as well, so he is losing out. And look at this, his entire central force is in massive cover. We've just got a Stug 3G, and he's invested a lot in the south to retake that back. An F6Z C is coming into strafe, but this centre ground's in massive trouble, absolute massive trouble. A Stug 3G on its own is not enough to hold this centre ground, and Goaf's got to be very worried right now, because once Spanish takes this up, he's going to pour in resources to get a decent defence, and then he's going to start investing in the north. In fact, we already see the investment coming in the north. Goaf's troops are going to go down, not because, you know, he will badly micro them, just because he won't be able to keep up with the income coming in. You know, he only has the SPWs. He doesn't have anything to take out these M4s. Even the Schwerungs will struggle with the GBR 39 anti-tank rifle. The Stug's the only thing that will stand up, so I'd have liked to have seen just a defense there, conserve the units, and then just pour. He's going to have to pour everything into this central area. The Commandant is I don't think it was discovered after all, because it wasn't opening fire. The Command M8 does go down to the Stug, but eventually I think that Stug's going to go down to an M4 shot from close range, especially if they pincer maneuver it. The Commandant is about to get discovered. It's the only thing left right now. May well take. It is now discovered. I'd like to see Goaf, you know, take that out of line of sight of this M4A1 and save that commander. The Schwerungs do come in now. They do have the anti-tank rifle, so potentially could possibly beat the M4A1 if they get a couple of nice side shots. But the Commandant wasn't microed, is going to go down, especially with the armoured rifles pushing up in the face of it. There it goes. That's a big loss for Goaf. The southern side, like I said, it just takes a little time, but you will get this flag back. You just need to invest in the right troops and just be patient on this southern side, and you will get this flag back. So I think just a bit too much invested from Goaf, and he lost his early forces, so that will have hurt him on this balanced income. Spanish in taking the 17-7 early lead. There's 13 minutes left for Goaf to turn this around. It's going to be major hard, because we're not even in B phase. We are not even in B phase, where Spanish has, you know, the majority of his income, and certainly the biggest gap between the two players. Down goes the Stug 3G to a M4 shot. I think it was this northern M4, and the Grenadiers do unload into the building. Another 2 Stugs ordered. But Stugs are expensive units, 70 points a piece, compared to the, well, they're only 10 points more expensive than the M4s, and the income's an early M16 GMC, and that's being used right on the front line to take out the infantry. I mean, he knows there's no real anti-tank here. He's got 2, although the southern M4 has now been crew killed, probably by the Schwerung's anti-tank rifle. So he's only got this northern M4A1, so potentially if that goes down, at least it's got rid of the support. Oh, the Stoss troop nearly could have potentially, you know, ambushed that M1 gun. But the M1 gun will come forward and put pressure on the reinforcement roads. The M4 pressing forwards as well. He's just looking to reveal these units and then take them out. And because there's no anti-tank on it, he doesn't really worry. The northern side, it has gone down. It's just the lack of, you know, Goaf can't invest in a defense into that area on balanced income. And yeah, I think there was the wrong call to attack. He made up ground. He made some great ground in that northern side, but what is he going to do once he's made that ground up? He either has to pour in resources to defend that ground, or he's just going to not invest and lose the ground once, because of Spanisher's you know, extra income. Look at the way that he's pushing forwards in the armoured rifles in the half tracks, pushing them very aggressively forwards. But with the ecom advantage, you know, he only has to reveal them and let his Shermans and the rest of his units do the work. The infantry pushing all the way up here. I love how aggressive this movement is, because some people would just love to set up a defense here, but Spanish is going beyond that. He's really taking it as far as he possibly can. He's got the 17-7 right now. Goaf has managed to push forwards across the open ground, and again I feel like I'm kind of surprised that he's done that. Is it a bad thing? Well, I mean, he's not gaining anything from doing it. He's obviously pushed forwards here with the Flammenwerf and smoked off the position, but he's not really gaining anything yet. If he can take out this M2HB, what is that, the 50 cal, with the IG-18, then potentially he could look to force the front line and gain that position, but the income advantage is so far in Spanisher's favour. He's not even in phase B that, yeah, he's just going to be able to invest and take out these units, and in the long run he's not going to gain anything. So I think we're, what, 10 minutes into this game. Spanish has a 19-5. I don't really see Goaf coming back into this, just because of the lead that Spanish has built up already. And a Stug 3G coming in here. There's not too much to contest against it. The M4A176 is now coming in. There was an anti-tank gun that's gone down. The Stug did go down there, possibly to the, I think it went down to the bazooka. Yeah, it did go down to the bazooka of the armoured rifles, and that's something you've got to look out for against the US, is that M1 bazooka. You don't see a lot of them on the Russian units. You know, we get the Osnaz that we saw yesterday in the cast of Medal Phase, but in the American divisions they are much more widely available, and fantastic anti-tank weaponry on the infantry themselves. Goaf having to bring in these SBWs because he must be, I think he's out of Stugs now. He only had 5 Stugs, so I reckon all of those Stugs are now gone. We are now in B phase, but he has the Jagdpanzers, but he's not going to be able to afford them because he just needs so many units. He needs so much for his front line that he won't be able to invest in resource for a Jagdpanther. He's only got 50 seconds left on this clock. Utter destruction from Spanish Ritter, and yeah, I feel like Goaf potentially made a poor decision. I don't want to say a poor decision. I think he could have been more defensive, and that would have stood him in a bit greater stead. I think also the SPWs maybe weren't the best call in this deck. I think he would have been worried about M8 spam, and those SPWs can take them out, but once you get through that, you're left with Shermans, and they just will not have an absolute chance against. They won't even have a chance against Shermans. In comes the ME109 G2R1, firing off against. Is it against the armoured rifles? I can't quite see them. No, it was against the 50 cal. 20 seconds left on the clock. The IG-18s were not a bad call. They'll be decent against the infantry. and they can even, you know, take on the Shermans with the heat shells. But yeah, overall, Spanish, a very strong victory, just pure aggression there early on, and I think a couple of mistakes from Goaf, certainly in that northern side, pushing the attack forwards, because after Spanish took out those initial forces, he was able to push across quite easily and pick up, I think, probably 2 flags up there in that northern side. Whereas if Goaf would have held those units back, and he probably would have defended those 2 flags throughout the game. In the centre ground, I think the lack of AT on the infantry will have hurt him, but it's hard to say what else he could have done there. I think in that southern side, he lost his initial Flammenwerfers, which meant he had to spend more money reinforcing that southern flag. But I think at the start of the game, if he'd have been a bit more patient on that southern side and had just walked his infantry through the forest, he would have taken that flag out. And then that would have left him with the centre ground to concentrate on. I think setting up in this map, there's 2 ways the players can go. They can concentrate on the flanks, or they can concentrate on the centre. But you generally don't see them doing all at the same. No one can do everything at the same time with that income. The most important sector, or the one with the most flags, is that centre ground. And coming up against 3rd US Armoured, I think you had to expect those Shermans to be coming into that centre area with their fire support and doing a damn good job in that central area. So for me, I would have set up a defence in the north and the south, just looked to defend, and poured all of my reinforcements into that centre ground, because if you hold the centre position and you lose the flanks, it would have been much easier to continue reinforcing that centre area and defend, and then pick up one of the 2 flanks at some point later on in the game. I think it would have been easier for Goaf if he'd have maintained the centre ground. It would have been easier for him to recover the flanks than it would have been, you know, if he'd have held the flanks and then lost the centre ground. I think once you lose that centre city, it is so difficult to get back in, because there's just so much open ground between your reinforcement zone, your supply road, and the city. So once you're pushed out of the city completely, you have to get... The thing is, to control that city, you have to have infantry, right? And once you get pushed out of that city completely, you then have to start buying tanks, right, to cover your reinforcement into the city, which you need infantry. So you have to spend like double the number of points to just get back into that city. That's kind of an assessment. I think for me, holding that city, I think, was most important, and unfortunately Goaf didn't manage to do it. And Spanish, his deck was optimized to a T for that A and B phase attack. You know, did he even have any C phase cards? I can't quite recall if he even had a C phase card. So he was literally going to win in A. He was going to win by B phase, or he was going to lose this game, no doubt. So very aggressive deck, and this time it paid for him. It came off for him. I don't think every game would have come off for him in that way, but we certainly saw how effective the 3rd Armoured can be with that Maverick income. I think the 3rd Armoured can be kind of a strange deck at times, because I think because of the lack of heavy armour, you can't get into a long slogfest, and because of the lack of infantry, you really will struggle if you get into a long C phase fight. But then you have some excellent heavy artillery that really lends itself to a long C phase fight. So you've got the long toms, you've got some heavy priests, I think it is, some real great artillery options, you've got great aircraft options that really lend themselves to a long C phase fight. But then the infantry and the tanks don't lend themselves to a long C phase fight, so you end up wanting to take Maverick Income, but then if you take Maverick Income, you've only got 80 points. You can't invest in that artillery. It's very difficult. You kind of have to make one decision or the other, and in this game, Spanish decided to go for that aggression, and it certainly paid off for him. The M4 here, taking out the commandant, that was a big kill. Because that commandant, A, is costly, but B, it up-vets all of the infantry around it. So a very big kill there. The command M4s, they dealt with the SPWs so easily. I mean, let's have a look at these SPWs. So the SPW 240F did take out the M1 gun, and that must have been in a transport. And then the SPW 204F command variant with the HE did take out the engineers. And that's it for all of those SPWs that came in. 2 kills. M1 gun's a nice kill, but yeah, just not enough work from those SPW 204s. And maybe he got thrown because they would have done a better job against a massive M8 spam rush. Those SPWs would have done a decent job countering an M8 spam, but Spanish didn't choose to do that. So, you know, as a result, Goaf lost out. Yeah, look at all of the SPWs that were brought in here. And how much were those SPWs? They're not expensive units, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm thinking they're possibly around 15 points. I might be wrong. They might be a little bit more than that. But I'm going to assume they're around 15 points. So 10 of them, that's 150 points shot down there. That's 2 Stug 3Gs. Or that's potentially, Grenadiers I think are 20 points apiece, so you're talking, wow, you're talking 5, 7 Grenadiers potentially. So yeah, you could have either had 7 Grenadiers or 7 SPWs, and I think I'd have rather had the Grenadiers, or at least something maybe with anti-tank on them. I don't know what the options available for 352nd are, whether you can get Grenadiers with the Panzerfaust. But if you're up against 3rd US Armoured, like because the M4s are so strong at close range, if you are playing the 3rd US Armoured, I would be immediately changing all of my infantry and putting anti-tank weaponry on them, because you don't have to have like a ton of them, because you've got the US, they don't get a load of infantry, so you don't have to have, you know, too many infantry units. You just want AT on every single infantry unit so that they cannot just rush the M4s up in the face of an infantry unit and just destroy it. You have to get, when you're facing the 3rd US Armoured, you have to have anti-tank weaponry on your infantry. You have to do it. So congratulations to Spanish Ritter, commiserations to Goaf, and actually, I didn't actually intend to show this game. The way that they were uploaded in the channel, I actually wanted to show the other game, which was a bit longer. So it was I generally don't like to show the short steamroll games, because I mean, I feel like once we were about 5 minutes into that game, the writing was almost on the wall at that point. And yeah, 12 minutes in total, so, you know, halfway through we were 6 minutes in, and yeah, I think Spanish played extremely well, setting up his early push, and a couple of mistakes from Goaf maybe helped him out there. So yeah, I didn't actually, the other game did last much longer, and I'm not sure, I don't know who won the other game, but that was about a 20-minute game, so I did actually intend to show the other game, but I got mistaken in this one. So let's have a look at the results of Group 3. That should be Group 3. Let's see. Can we just quickly... Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Where's the... Oh, wow. That should say Steel Division League Group 3, okay? Bit of an amateur mistake there, guys. Amateur mistake. Hopefully you can forgive me for that. So, we have Spanish Ritter picking up the overall first place in Group 3. Goaf coming in second. Gearhead third, despite the fact we saw that Metal Phase did beat Gearhead in that engagement. Gearhead does get the third place position, and then Metal Phase gets the fourth. I think the points difference there goes to Gearhead. I think he kind of wins that. Although Metal Phase played one more game than him, I think Gearhead gets that because of those 7 games played instead of the 8, and Metal Phase got the loss in one game. I'm actually inclined to say that shouldn't be the case. That should be exactly equal. Because we shouldn't be punishing Metal Phase because he played an extra game and he lost. There should be no punishment for that because it's all about getting the games played. So actually, I'm going to put Metal Phase in joint third place with Gearhead, despite not saying that on the screen. We then got Charles in 5th, myself in 6th place, Char in 7th. Well done to Char because I think this was his first league. I mean, he's only got 4 games played, but well done to him for coming 7th. Sombra 8th and GG Crinkle in 9th. And actually, one of my games casted, I think, was by Rangro, was against GG Crinkle, otherwise known as Ghoul, and I did beat him in both games, but actually the game that was casted by Rangro was very, very tight. And it was on Ocean North, I think. I can't remember the matchup right now off the top of my head, but that was tight. So GG Crinkle, although it shows him at the bottom, he did play very well in that game against me. So I've got no doubt that actually, if he was in up against players in Group 4, he would have, stood in a decent position there. So don't. What I'm trying to say is GG Crinkle shouldn't be too disappointed in his final finish, because I think he did deserve to be in Group 3 and definitely will have taken some games. Certainly that game against me was very close. Myself in 6th place, so I lost both games against Spanish, I lost both games against Spanish. I lost both against Goaf, both against Gearhead. I did draw Metal Phase. I did draw Metal Phase. And then I didn't play against Charles, Char or Sombra. So if I'd have managed to have got those games in, I would have liked to have think I could have got 2 wins there. So maybe would have been on 12 points as well as Gearhead and Metal Phase. But yeah, I struggled at the very start of this league, and I think I actually lost a bit of confidence as well. And this was right when I was starting the YouTube channel, and I got the old jitters playing in the competitive tournament. The pressure was on me. I was starting to do YouTube videos as well, and I think it all got to me, and I felt very uncomfortable at times playing against some of these players. So in the end, I think I recovered some confidence, started playing a lot better, and I think that was when I played Metal Phase and I managed to get the draw against Metal Phase. So I think actually if Metal Phase would have played me at the very start of this league, I think he would have picked up both victories, so he possibly could have gone through with 15. It would have been 15 points, wouldn't it, instead of 12, I think. So he would have got 2 more points for a win, so actually 14 points. Yeah, so that could have pushed him up just above Gearhead. But anyway, congratulations to Spanish Ritter. I'm sure we will see much more of him in the future, further up the groups into either Group 2 or Group 1 potentially. Depends how the second season is organised, but I think potentially from the rumorings, we may get a January, February start for the season 2. I think potentially, but that's just what I'm picking up from odd things on Discord that I'm seeing. So definitely not guaranteed at this point. So that ends the coverage of Group 3. It is Group 3, it's not Group 4, I swear. such amateur video making here. Thanks very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up. Also subscribe if you're not subscribed so you don't miss any action. I'm going to move across to closing off Group 2 towards the end of this week, and then next week we're going to have a full week of closing off Steel Division League Group 1, the top group with the top players. Also check out my description for links to Discord, Patreon and Twitch. Thanks very much to all the Patreon supporters, the patrons that have supported me so far. The support's going to be invaluable for upgrading the equipment, keeping me going on this channel, and hopefully we'll get some better quality videos where I actually get the right group named on the video itself. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks very much for watching. I am Angry Birds. I will see you next time.